What a year it has been and what a year it is going to be. Let's talk about it. Lisa Novak, Mark Novak, property professionals for over 30 years. We want to give you our opinion
Yeah.
and our experience from what we've seen in the last 12 months.
Can I just say Merry Christmas as well, guys? How nice
It was
has it
yesterday,
been? Yeah, I know, but
2 days
how
ago.
how nice has it been just to have a little bit of downtime? Even though the phones haven't stopped ringing and buzzing and dinging and lighting up, it's been so nice just to
Yeah.
spend some time with our family and friends and catch up with people. It's been awesome. Hope everyone has enjoyed it. Yes, there's been a few obstacles, but we still live in the lucky country. And on that note, Mark, the lucky country it is. Right, because today we're talking about property, what it's done this year, what it's going to be doing in 2021. We're Northern Beaches agents. Many of you guys will know that. And yes, we've certainly had our trials and tribulations the last week or so, haven't we?
It's been a crazy time.
Yeah, it
It's been a
certainly has.
crazy
Yeah,
time.
it certainly has.
It hit us hard locally.
Yep, it did.
And everyone, happy New Year. This will be the last one we do for the year.
Yeah.
And I hope you had a great Christmas with your family and your friends. What was the conversation over Christmas time? What was it for us?
Conversation over Christmas time was really just talking about how we can balance our lives a little bit better and spend some more time with family and friends, because we actually don't get a lot of time to be able to do that. This year more than ever, the business has certainly needed us. The team has certainly needed us. The community has certainly needed us. Our family have certainly needed us. And I think our friends kind of, for use of a better word, I think, our friends kind of took the back seat. Like, unfortunately, we get asked this a lot, Mark, about balance and, how do we balance our lives? The truth is something always ends up needing more attention, and
Always.
something always lacks attention. And I think this year for us, just to be completely honest and transparent with everyone, it probably was our friends, and it was really nice just to spend that, the last few days just catching up with friends. And we've just finished having some friends over now. So, it's just been awesome for us. I think, it was just working out how we're going to balance that a little bit better.
It's interesting. I actually today had a buddy that grew up in my street, Mr. Ben Burrows, and Benny was around, and we we're sitting around what 4 or 5 hours, all types of conversation.
Yeah.
Obviously, property's a big one for us, but what Benny was saying, what I was saying to Ben is, I found that this year there was a lot of transfer of energy. So the bottom line is stuff disappeared that was sort of we were used to, and the stuff appeared that we weren't used to. But overall, it was very trying, I think, for people to try to realise what's important, what's not. And I was saying to Ben, like, I think what was at that time of when COVID really hit, we didn't really know where property or homes sat in the pecking order of essential.
Yeah.
And it's never happened before to us as a business, as a community. And I think it was pretty interesting that people pegged property as important to them. And it's like, 3 months later, you go, oh, duh, of course, it's a roof over your head.
Yeah.
But at that time, we didn't really know. So we've learned a lot this year.
Yeah, we really have. And I think, particularly on the Northern Beaches, and that's obviously been a huge topic of conversation. It's been all over the media with all the COVID situation that's currently taking place in the Northern Beaches at the moment, which they seem to be containing and managing it very, very well. But I'll tell you the distinct difference that's happened this time round with COVID than to what happened, let's say, around sort of that May period, that really hit. That's where property got really, hit really, really hard. The difference this time round is the buyer inquiry, the level of buyer inquiry that's been coming through, particularly over the last week, Mark. Even with Christmas, Boxing Day, all the public holidays, that buyer inquiry has been coming through thick and fast. My phone has been lighting up like a Christmas tree today. It started at 6:20 this morning. So, that's great news.
It's good news. It is. It's good news for everyone.
It's really good news for everyone. And the other thing is, a lot of nobody is actually even mentioning the word COVID. In fact, people haven't even been saying, which is fine. We
Yeah, that's you're saying. Yep.
People
Yeah,
aren't
that's
even
interesting.
mentioning that. Look, I'm really sorry to be calling you on a public holiday. I'm sorry to be sending you a message at 20 past 6 in the morning. And that's fine, because obviously we market the fact that we're available
Yeah.
24/7. So that's absolutely fine. But it's interesting, Mark. It's really interesting.
Yes.
The level of buyer inquiry that's been coming through has been phenomenal.
Yeah, and something you've been saying
Phenomenal.
is we've signed people up to sell their properties in the last couple of
Yeah.
days, in the last 7 days. And I think the conversation I'm having with you, Lise, was people are not talking about COVID. They're not talking
No,
about
not a word.
Christmas.
No.
They need to sell. They need to buy. They're just getting stuff done, which is
Yep.
different to any other year.
People have not even mentioned it at all. So here's the thing. My crystal ball tells me that we're going to sail right through this whole COVID situation, this time with property, we're referring to, guys. And we're going to continue the very, very strong market that we saw just a few weeks ago. So I've just listed a property in Cromer. Let's use that as an example. So
Yeah.
I launched that yesterday at lunchtime. I reckon I've had in excess of about 70 inquiries come through on that property alone.
In
Now,
how long?
24 hours.
Yeah, that's nuts.
In 24 hours. My
Nuts.
phone has literally been lighting up like a Christmas tree. And don't forget, guys, we are Northern Beaches based agents selling Northern Beaches properties. Not one single buyer has said a word. They're just like, how quick can I get through the property? They're keen to get through the property. The problem here is managing how do we do all the one-on-ones for all of these buyers.
But you know what,
That's the
I think
tricky
everyone,
bit.
what you got to remember is, I know Melbourne had a very hard time, and we sort of stood back and watched. But we not only stood back as a country and tried to help and watch, and we actually learnt a lot. In COVID-1, when it first hit, in COVID-2, when Melbourne went through their trials and tribulations, I think we're better citizens now than in COVID-3 than we were in 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
I think we've learnt a lot. We've learnt what's important, what's not. So no wonder that people are still getting on and selling, and still getting on and buying, and
Yep.
renting and financing and moving around, because they've realised this is a byproduct of life now. So you've still got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You've still got to move around like you're going to move around. You've got to be super respectful of distancing, super respectful of the regulations the government's putting on us, but you still got to move on. You still got to see your family. You still got to
Mark,
do that
the
stuff.
thing is that round one with COVID, people didn't actually know what it was we were dealing with. They didn't know what was over there in the dark. We didn't know what we were dealing with.
Yep.
Now we're like, okay, we know what we're dealing with. People are feeling a whole lot more confident than what they were before. And that's why I'm suggesting that Northern Beaches agents selling Northern Beaches property, not a single buyer this entire long weekend through this Christmas Boxing period has said a word to me about COVID. Like, Lisa, what do you think is going to happen with the market? They're just like, we just want to buy the property. How quickly can we come through?
That's
So
interesting.
it's like it's not even existing in the world of real estate on the Northern Beaches. It's really interesting.
So
It's really interesting. Let's talk about, Mark, what's going to happen next year with property.
if you've just tuned in, we're going to talk about what's going to happen next year with property, what happened this year to property. If you have got any questions, throw it at us live. We'll answer it right now for you. Couple of shout outs. Luke Morani, you're going to answer this question in a second. Are you getting the seller inquiry? We'll come back on that. Rosie, g'day. Keep on doing what you're doing, guys. Keeps all of us grounded.
Hey, Rosie.
You're a legend.
Hey, Luke.
And Mal, g'day. Pasang, thank you for your support. So, guys,
Thank
again,
you,
if you've got any
guys.
questions,
Hey, Anmol.
you got to be you have to write your questions into the Novak Facebook account for it for us to come up and see it here.
For it to show up. Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't come up on the other accounts. But back to what we're saying. Luke's asking, are we getting seller inquiry?
Tons. So for me as an agent, it looked like I was going to be coming into this Christmas New Year period with a lot of my stock sold. This is for me personally. So it looked like a lot of my stock was actually going to be sold. I'd had a couple of really, really busy weeks, and I was like, you know what, I'm quite happy for this because I need a break. And then all of a sudden the avalanche started, and all this seller inquiry started, and people were calling me saying, look, Lisa, you know, we're thinking about getting our property on the market now. Do you reckon we should list with your pre-market strategy, and then if we haven't sold over that Christmas New Year period, we can then launch and get onto the real estate portals with some paid marketing? So I ended up listing 6 properties in a matter of 3 or 4 days. So there's been a lot of seller inquiry, a lot, because there's so many buyers around, Luke.
Types of sellers, are they people desperate to get the hell of the money?
No.
Are they people that are upgrading to a bigger property? What types of sellers are, as a cross sample?
It's a real mix, actually. So a lot of people are wanting to upgrade their property, so they're wanting to get out of their two-bedder and get into a bigger property. A lot of people are actually moving. So there's, like I'm selling for a client at the moment. She's like, I found a house in Nielsen Bay. How quickly can you sell? But I've got to be honest, I've not sold for a single vendor who's called and said, we need to sell urgently. Not one.
What about China?
What about China?
No overseas investment. So
I
guys, think about this.
I haven't had one.
Think about this. This is a strong property market.
Yeah.
Purely domestic. It's a strong property market, purely domestic.
Yeah.
Now, think about this. When planes are back, when travel is back, when international trade is actively back, property, Sydney, Australia, and property has put on a great show in 2020. What I mean by that...
Isn't that true?
Yeah. So we've still got great education.
Yeah.
We're quite a robust economy to invest into. Look at what happened to some of the economies around the world. Look at how we're managing the COVID, C1, C2, C3.
Phenomenally well.
Right?
Yeah.
I think on stage, guys, if you were looking over the fence from one country over the fence to our country, I think we actually we are going pretty rock solid.
We are going pretty well. Not only that, but the other thing is they're getting really good with all of this, the tracing that they're doing.
Yep.
So, now if we sort of reverse back 6 months ago, if you were even in that vicinity, go and get a COVID test and isolate yourself for 14 days, right? Whereas now it's, if you were at blah, blah, between the hours of blah, blah, and blah, blah,
exactly.
Go and get a test. If it comes back negative, you're okay. It's phenomenal. So it's phenomenal.
So
and also I think,
this.
People are also reacting to it really, really well.
Yep.
And Mark, I was saying the other day, just on a side note, if this COVID outbreak happened in some other areas of Sydney, I don't know that it would have been handled as well as what the Northern Beaches community have handled it.
The state tested 250,000 people in a week.
That's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
That's a phenomenal. That's a good display of agility for the medical system. But again, guys, I want you to think about this in 2021. Have a big think about it. We have a strong property market on the back of some pretty big pressure as a country, right? We are not inviting immigrants in. We are not inviting tourists in. We are not inviting any international investment.
Yeah.
It's gone, right?
Yeah.
So have a think about this. 2021, when planes start coming back, maybe mid-year, don't know, but when life gets back to normal and you say local support of the property market and international support of the property market and the country, I think our property market, I don't think it's going to boom, but I certainly think it's going to be a stronger property market in 2021 because internationally, we're looking pretty good.
Absolutely. And Luke, you've just made a comment, the USA is struggling. I mean, you look overseas and you look at some of these countries, the the United States, and then, you look over to Europe as well and how they're struggling, and our heart honestly goes out to those countries because it's a mess over there. Surely you'd be looking at, CNN or World News or whatever it is, thinking things are looking pretty damn good over there in Australia. I would be looking to skip country if things were that dire. You'd be thinking, that looks pretty good over there. I'm going to see what we can do about moving our family there.
Okay, think about this.
We're going to see a lot of international investors, Mark.
Guys that are watching tonight.
As soon as these borders open up.
Have a think about this. Everyone's used the word very freely of tree change and sea change. Right? It's very common that there are places in New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria that people have made tree change and sea change to their life.
Yeah.
That's on a local scale. When you start, if I was in London or England. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
you know what? I've
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
wanted to go to Australia. I've always, just want that tree change, sea change in my life. The place is looking even better again.
Yeah.
We're looking even better again because we've managed ourselves quite well. I know we're not through this, but so far so good. On an international scale, sea change and tree change is coming for Sydney, Australia.
I agree.
And all of Australia.
Yeah, I agree. So, Mark, what do you reckon? What's your prediction on what's going to happen to the property market in 2021?
Kenny Barrow reckons it's a big boom.
Yeah.
He reckons it could be a 40% boom. I tell you what, whenever we've seen, what was your question?
What's going to happen next year with property?
Up.
We're going to go up. Yeah,
We're going to go up.
I think so too.
I'd love to know what you guys are thinking percentage-wise. Kenny, thanks for your
Mark,
punt.
all the pointers are pointing towards it.
Yeah.
Right? They're all pointing towards it. So people have realised that if we're going to be locked in like we are, because we're just moving targets at the moment. Today it's the Northern Beaches. Next week it's somewhere else.
C4,
but
C5.
The reality is, most people that we've spoken to, and we have a very social circle of friends, most people that we're talking to are saying, we're just happy just to stay at home and have a couple of friends over for drinks, whereas usually we'd be going to big parties and things like that. The reality is people's homes are so much more important than they've ever been before.
Yeah.
We're going to continue to see that change. We're going to continue to see people coming into the Northern Beaches from out of area. We're going to continue to see people, or we will start to see rather, people coming in from overseas investing into beautiful areas like the Northern Beaches.
The lucky country.
God, are we ever?
The lucky country.
Are we ever? And as I said, if they're sitting watching their TVs over there from Europe or America, looking over at what's going on here in Australia, guys, can you imagine? We've had, I think it was 5 cases today here in Sydney. 5. Right? Over in America, I would hate to think what those stats look like today.
Even per capita. Even if you consider they got 300 million people with 20, 30 million
we've had
people,
5.
That's good.
We've had 5 and we're considering that to be bad, but we seem to be on top of it. We seem to know where these cases are and we seem to be able to trace them quite well.
I'm not going to give government all the credit for this because a conversation I had the back off today with good old Benny Burrows, a big thing you guys have to consider is a great community, that we are good citizens. When the government turns around and says these are the rules, we are an economy and we are citizens that actually will follow that. There's a lot of countries that have imposed the same sort of rules and the same sort of regulations,
and people aren't,
and they don't.
Well, look at our girlfriend that we just had over today. She's Greek and she was saying over in Greece it's a mess because the government hands over the rules to the people and the people are just like, whatever. And they just go on their merry way. So
another good reason to invest in this country.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, the predictions are, so this year for 2020, property market was nowhere near as bad as what those predictions were. When the media were calling that, the property market was going to drop 30 to 40%, Mark and I documented it. We were there documenting it in May, June, July, saying, guys, there is no way that this property market's dropping. We copped a lot of flack for it.
It's on social media.
It is on social media.
You can go back on it and check.
It is. And of course, it certainly didn't go anywhere near there. It came off, no doubt, about 10 or 15%, and then it bounced straight back up again. Yep, correct.
Came back within the next quarter.
Stronger than ever.
Now, for the whole year.
And it will continue to grow.
For the whole year, I would say that the outer fringe suburbs of Sydney, the tree change or sea change suburbs of Sydney, I'd say they would have been probably up as much as 5, some suburbs as much as 10% net. Like even after the pain they went through, they came back even stronger. So unless you're Byron Bay, which you probably did 20%.
Yeah.
Now.
Oh my God, I think even more, Mark. I think it went up 30.
Yeah.
30%. Byron Bay and those surrounding areas went up 30%. I've got a client that bought a property. Actually, I helped her to buy a property about 25 minutes outside of Byron. She purchased it for, let's say, it was around that $1.3 million mark.
Yep.
By the time she'd settled on the property, she'd made herself about $200,000 or $300,000.
Yep.
6 weeks later, by the time she'd settled on the property.
It's nuts.
It's unbelievable. So
that is an extremely admired suburb for people that are in Queensland, people that are in New South Wales that have really wanted to go tree change, really wanted to go seed change. That's probably the pinnacle of an example. But there are micro examples all over Sydney and over Queensland and over Victoria that have achieved good capital growth on the back of seed change, tree change. Again, I'm emphasising, guys, this is local support. This is not international support.
Okay, but, you know, I want to ask you. I want to ask you a question. Yeah. Do you think, and this is not set up, Mark has no idea, I'm asking him this. Do you think what's going on now in the Northern Beaches with COVID is going to affect property prices?
Yes.
You do think it will?
Yes.
Okay, can you explain that further?
This is a tough question because...
Do you really think that what's going on at the moment with COVID on the beaches is going to affect the property prices over there?
Yes.
Okay, I don't agree with you.
In a positive way.
Oh, it's going to go up?
Yeah.
How's that?
I think...
This is an interesting conversation.
Okay,
I'm interested to hear this answer.
Really careful about the way I say this. But the old saying of any exposure is good exposure. So at the end of the day, we have been exposed to the northern beaches of Sydney. First of all, it sounds very nice just when you say that. Right?
Yeah.
That's been dubbed all around Australia, all around maybe even the world. And I think that the Northern Beaches community has rallied together, stuck together, willingly worked to rid this out of the community. I think it's a good show of community, and I think it's a good show of and exposed on a national scale. So I do think. Look, well, I'm not here to plug Northern Beaches.
No, I 100% agree with you.
But I just think that, you know,
Mark, I 120% agree with you.
Yeah,
I was shocked actually.
That's pretty rare.
It's rare. Yeah. No, but you know, I thought that you were suggesting that it's going to have an adverse effect on property prices on the Northern Beaches.
No, that's not the question you asked, Lisa Novak.
No, I know, but I truly thought that you were suggesting that it was going to have a negative impact on property prices. I agree. Guys, listen up. You're hearing it here and now. Mark and I have not had this conversation before, I swear to God. I truly believe that the situation that is happening in the Northern Beaches at the moment is going to have a massively positive impact. The way the community has rallied together and has gotten on top of this is phenomenal at a time when people want to be together. All of our family and friends that we've spoken to that are inside the Northern Beaches have all adhered to the rules. You know, I mean, it's phenomenal. That the community needs to be commended for this.
Do you know what?
They need to be commended for the way this has been handled by the community.
No shit. That's Australia. That's Aussies.
No.
Aussies.
I can think of many parts of Sydney, Mark, where the community would not have adhered to these rules as well as what the people on the Northern Beaches have.
Aussies are.
And guys, I'm born and bred eastern suburbs. I can tell you now that this is my opinion. If this happened in the east, I don't believe that they would have. I don't believe these numbers would have looked like this. I swear, I don't.
No,
I swear.
I reckon Aussies are a resilient bunch. If we looked at how Australia acted, they took posture in COVID-1. I think with Victoria, they sucked it in. They got through it. And I think COVID-3, which is what the Northern Beaches is seeing, I think we're a resilient bunch.
Yeah.
I think we're a respectful bunch and a resilient bunch, and we've done really, really well.
Yeah.
So look, I'd like to think, maybe versus eastern suburbs versus Northern Beaches, I don't know, but certainly and that is why the property market in 2021 is going to be okay. Stroke good, maybe even fantastic, because it's a good place to live. I just want to say, Kenny, Northern Beaches have done the right thing. Testing has gone through the roof. Good people live there. Guys, what do you think? What do you think about what's going to happen in 2021? I'd love to know your punt.
Okay, so this is it. I'm calling it here and now. The property market is going to go bananas. I reckon my phone is about to go nuts with listings in about 2 weeks' time. In fact, I reckon I could mark the date in my diary. I reckon it'll be about the 15th of January. the phone is going to go red hot. The amount of appraisals that I did prior to this Christmas Boxing Day period was insane.
Kenny reckons 40%. Kenny Barrow.
I reckon property market's going to go nuts.
What do you think percentage-wise? Okay, let's just
from here where we are.
Are we going to use Sydney or Northern Beaches?
No, from here where we are at this moment, what's the property market going to do?
From the beginning of 21 to the end of 21.
Property market's going up 20%.
There you go.
20%. Yeah, it's going to go bananas. There is way too many buyers still out there. There's no stock on the market, Mark. I just listed a house in Cromer. It's the only house in Cromer on the market. Right? There's a flurry of buyers. This is in the 1.5 range property. You know, there is the level of inquiry that has come through has kept two of us busy all day. Like, there are just too many buyers out there in the marketplace, and there is simply not enough stock. We are going to see more stock coming on the market, but there's enough buyers, guys, to be able to manage it. So here's the thing. If you're looking at selling, sell. If you're looking at buying, buy. If you want to gamble, don't do it on the property market. Go take your money to the casino and do it there, because it's all relative. It's all relative.
If Packer can get his license.
Packer can get his license.
It's not opened.
Oh, no,
the new casino, the new one. Yeah.
I don't know.
The new one's having trouble.
I'm looking forward to going.
Can't wait till the new one opens.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to going and check it out.
Guys and girls, signing off, I want to say well done, New South Wales.
Yeah.
Well done, Victoria. Well done, Queensland.
Yeah.
Well done, Australia. And you know
what?
Well
done, Northern Beaches.
Well done, Northern Beaches. But this property market, be proud of it. Don't feel shy. Property market's going to go up 20%. I know the pessimistic people are going to go out there and go, blah. Mate, we deserve it. We are a good country. Good countries grow. Shit countries don't grow.
Can I also just say the property market is resilient. And if you never believed it before, look at how it reacted throughout the year. It's resilient. It got thrown on its face and it bounced straight back up again, stronger than ever. So, you know, as I said, don't try and gamble the property market and wait for the market to come down. The best time to buy is when you find the right property. That's the best time to buy. So, you know, the best time to sell is when you want to sell. Don't worry about gambling with the property market, you know, because it's all, at the end of the day, it's all relative.
Yep.
It's all relative. Buy and sell in the same market and be done with it. Guys, I think we need to also just have a little end of year call out as well, because it is our last show for 2020. I'm not going to say a single bad thing about 2020. It's the year that was. It's the year that all taught us a lot about everything, about ourselves, about each other, about our country. You know what? I think all in all, it's been a great year. We've certainly we're not sitting here with silver spoons in our mouths. I can assure you, it's been a bloody roller coaster of a year between business, managing staff, managing family, managing emotions, managing our own stresses with the business, finances, and all that sort of stuff. It's been a hard year, but all in all, when we draw the line in the sand, in a few days' time, it's been a phenomenal year. It could have all turned out a whole lot worse for us all. And I think we've just got to be grateful for so much. So, and, you know, also just a huge...
Praise the Lord, for He's our Jesus. He's the one.
And also on that note, just you know, a massive thank you to you guys as well. You know, your support, your amazing comments. My girlfriend was asking me earlier on, she said, what do you do with all the, you know, the trolls? Do you get a lot of haters? And I said, actually, we really don't. We don't get that many at all. We don't get a whole lot of trolls.
I'm the biggest troll of all.
Mark's my biggest troll.
I'm a troll. Troll, I can't be. The king of trollers can't be trolled.
But, you know, it's been, all in all, it's been an awesome year. Thank you so much for all your support, all your beautiful comments. We hope we've been able to bring some, you know, information, some humour, some whatever it might be, you know, but we hope most of all that it helped you. We really do. We hope that it helped you, because that's what the information's intended to do.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year. Make it a great one. I'm not sure that all these issues are going to go away in 2021, but we know that we're going to be able to manage it all. We know that
Definitely
we're going to be able to get through this. We know how we can do it, and we know what we've got to do, and that's the most important thing. Knowledge is power. And that's it from us, guys.
Signing out for 2020. That's a year. That's a wrap. That's property. And look forward to the new year. Love ya.
See you guys.
See
Love
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Mwah.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.